You would make a noise before I say audio going live. And we're
Let me shoo my dog out of my room real
Oh, dang you. Go ahead, do your thing.
We're good. Just be yourself. I'll introduce everybody else first.
Go ahead,
already
Logan.
live?
We're already live.
Hi, everybody. As you can see, we're already scrambling to get everything together. So if you're watching this, hi. Welcome to the DualShockers YouTube channel. My name is Logan Moore. I'm the managing editor at DualShockers.com, and I guess by proxy this channel as well. We're here to talk about all things PlayStation 5, because in case you didn't hear, there was a rather large thing that happened this afternoon involving new platforms and new consoles and some Spider-Mans and things like that. So we're going to talk about everything that happened, break down what we think about the reveal for all these games that are coming to PlayStation 5, in addition to the console reveal that Sony finally opted to show. I am joined here with our esteemed panel, whose names you can probably see. We've got Video Manager Mario Rivera here, who's running ops on all this stuff. Mario, hi.
Hey, how's it going? It was a fun stream that me and had for the other four boys, and so glad to talk to another set of four boys.
I was going to say, people probably already know some of your initial impressions if they watch our previous stream, and if not, we streamed our reactions to that in real time, so you can go watch that if you want to as well. Fellow glasses wearer of the same glasses, Michael Ruiz is here. Michael, we have the same glasses, but mine are like rip-off plastic ones, and yours are like actual real ones.
I have Ray-Bans. That is true.
So
do you have the thing that help you with blue light too?
Yeah, so these are like blue light rip-off glasses that are the exact, like to a T of the ones you have, except these are like $15 on Amazon, and yours are real person glasses that help you see things.
We could thank the Bucks for that.
There you go. Vision.
The Young Bucks?
The Young Bucks, yes.
Awesome.
Also joined by a man whose shelves might collapse in the background during this presentation is Scott White. Hey, Scott, how's it going?
Going well. Just hanging in there. The shelves are hanging steady. Can't wait to,
I mean, the question remains. First question for you. I mean, actually, let's just get into this first, because this is broad strokes, I guess, with the console itself before we move into the games. PlayStation 5 console revealed. Everybody's got impressions about it. Before we get to impressions about the console look itself, I think the most interesting thing is there's going to be two SKUs, which has been heavily rumored with Xbox now for a while, and I think there's going to be two Xbox Series X platforms when that thing launches later this year. Turns out there's two SKUs for the PlayStation as well, and one's a normal disk drive eaten thing, and another one is all digital. Pretty interesting. Obviously, the digital one will probably be cheaper, probably by what? I'd say like $50. I would imagine. I would imagine the disparity is not going to be that large. But yeah, what are we thinking? I think that was like one of the more intriguing parts of the whole reveal there at the end. I mean, everybody's making fun of the way the platform looks and how it looks like a router. We are officially in territory now, though, where all digital consoles are a thing, and we've seen that with like the Xbox One. And now we are seeing it here with actual next-gen console jumps, which is actually kind of... We've expected this for a long time, and now it's finally here. Are you planning to still get disc versions? Scott, we'll start with you since you got the giant physical game collection back there. Are you still going to get the baseline PS5 version, I assume?
Yep. Going disc version, for sure. My biggest concern is with the disc version, they will consider, like, the hard drive will be half the size, and they'll put the big, like, let's say hypothetically, like a 2 terabyte hard drive in the discless version, and then in the one with the drive, you'll get a 1 terabyte, and that would make me very, very upset. I would be bummed by that.
Yeah, that could happen. The other thing that, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, assuming, let's say it is like $50 difference between the two SKUs, I'm probably just going to get the normal disc version one. And I've honestly gone pretty fully digital this current generation we're in anyway, so I have no problem going fully digital. I guess for me, though, since the console is going to be backward compatible, I do have a good probably 30 to 40 physical games, so I don't know how those would transfer over unless I did get the physical, or unless I did get the one with the disc drive on the PS5, so that's probably going to sway my purchasing decision if I had to guess. And you could buy, I mean, if I wanted to reestablish my library that I currently have and go fully digital, like the games that I have that I want to bring over with me, like I don't know, something like God of War that I have a physical version of, that's like $10 on PSN every now and then. So like I could rebuild that library over time if I wanted to digitally, and it probably wouldn't be too expensive. But I don't know, probably just for pure, like, I don't know, just for ease of use. I don't know, but then I have to keep all the PS4 discs on me. I don't know. Michael, where are you at with this? Because I think you said you're going fully digital.
Yeah, I already am very much like fully digital. I don't think I have any. I might have a couple physical ones, but that's just because like I think Resident Evil 7 is actually one of the only physical like games I have currently, which is weird. But yeah, I think I'd go all digital, especially if there's like a pretty, not steep, but even like a slight price difference in terms of like if the digital version is going to be cheaper, I would definitely like that more. Or even the incentive of having more memory there, I think is very much, or storage, I mean, is definitely appealing to me because I do have a lot of games digitally. That's mostly what I play. And I don't have attachment to like no offense or anything, I don't have attachment to like the physical games or collector's editions and stuff like that. So I'm very much a not cheap, but I kind of just get things day one, and I don't really look at the physical stuff. I just get the game digitally all the time. So I'm definitely going to, if I get it, I am definitely going to get the digital version for sure.
Mario, what about you?
So depending on the disparity, but I would have to think the disparity might be more than actually just $50 because it is a 4K Blu-ray drive finally.
Yeah.
And the digital version that I have of the Xbox was actually fairly cheap in comparison to like the actual console itself, between the Slim and the X. So I would say I'm hoping for more of a cut when it comes to the PS5. But I think I will go with the disc because I finally had transitioned to the generation of 4K, so I wouldn't mind having that as a my go-to DVD player now, because I'm not positive if I'm actually going to get the Series X because I do have a pretty decent PC and laptop, so I don't know if I'm going to get that right away. And the one thing that made me upset with having a digital only console is that I can't put discs in it, and then there was a period of time where I didn't even have a PS4 and I couldn't even play DVDs at all. Which I have a pretty small DVD collection, as you can see behind me, but I want to try and get these discs. So I think going discs is actually, I think in the disc version might be the way I go. I do have an extensive digital library, and you're right, games right now are super cheap, especially with these sales. It's awesome the fact that, I'm going to be able to bring that on. So really, it ultimately comes to preference, but I think I am going to go with the disc version.
I do want to say, like, I think if with the two systems, if one is like 2 terabyte and one is 1 terabyte, I mean, I think there's a possibility of them just being the same price and having that storage like kind of be like the thing that like sets them apart, but it's just the same price. Because storage, I don't know how much that storage is going to be like cost wise and whatnot, but going from 1 terabyte to 2 terabyte, as I've like purchased like a computer right now, like that was definitely a huge price difference in like buying it for a computer. So, I don't know. I feel like that could be like, it's just the same price. It's just you get more memory, but no disk drive, Yeah,
maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe get 3 SKUs, which would be, one would be the digital, one would be disk with 1 terabyte hard drive, and then one with the disk drive and the increased size, like the digital size hard drive, but with a disc. I could see that.
Maybe. Go I mean, there's still so many unknowns. Like, we don't know the prices for these things. We don't know. They didn't reveal the release date. They revealed the box, and that was about it. I mean, do you guys want to touch on the design too much? I don't know how much there is the ground to touch on. I don't know. Personally, I don't understand why people always get so up in arms about like console designs. Like, I'm gonna shove this dumb thing under my entertainment center, and that'll kind of be the end of it. Like,
but it does look.
It looks like a router. I think that is the most. That is definitely the one that I think is most apt. That everybody's been drawing comparisons to.
There was a not safe for work version. Someone described it. I won't say it in here, but it is what it is.
It looks. I don't know.
Surprised. Really I'm just most surprised by the two-tone color scheme more so than the actual design of the console. That's what surprises me most, I think.
Well, they said it was. I didn't even after they revealed it. What I think Jim Ryan said it's like their most ambitious design ever, and they're very self-aware that they're kind of going in a different direction. It seems because their past few all their consoles outside of the PlayStation 1, which was just a gray box, all the others have just been black boxes. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's. I guess that's what I don't understand is if this was just another black rectangle, everybody'd be like, it looks so great. And it's like, oh, this is just a stupid black box that you put little discs in and they play video games for you. I don't know. Like, I don't think it's wonderful, but it's form factor of a video game console, which is I've never purchased a video game console because it is visually appealing to my eyes.
I will say the PS4 though was, to me, very visually appealing, and then when they got to the slim version of the Xbox, where I was like, "Oh, I do like this," I preferred that over the VCR version of the Xbox. So,
the big original design one.
Yeah, like almost people forget about it, but there's a huge VCR looking one.
Yes,
and then
I still have it down in my right here on my
your dungeon.
Never forget.
Shelf. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Is it propping up your games?
No. No, I have those flimsy white boards back there doing that, and it's doing a great job.
Fair enough.
I mean, I think the design is whatever. I'm not too hot on it, but also I do like that it looks pretty slim though, and I think that's like been something like a talking point whenever like new consoles come out. Especially, I mean, even with the Xbox Series X, that thing looks like giant, like in terms of like the dimensions and whatever. And I think this one looks pretty slim, and it'll easily be able to sit within like your entertainment system and stuff like that. So I think it looks pretty, like, in terms of look, I'm not a big fan, but I do like that it is like, it looks pretty small or slim and everything like that. So that's kind of nice, at least.
I think my biggest nitpick with it, and now that I'm looking at it again over here to my other second monitor, is the USB entry points and stuff like that. They're really, like, they look just like they had nowhere else to put them, so they're just kind of sitting right there in the middle of the thing. Like, the disk drive is kind of well hidden on the console. I mean, obviously you can see it with the disk drive.
I'm showing it right now, and it looks like, you know, like when someone like has a dress and they put their leg out. That's what it reminds me of.
It's
it's not hidden. Like, it's not hidden like the PS4 one is per se, but it's not in a. What should I say? It doesn't look out of place.
Sure.
Whereas like the USB drives and the stuff like that, they do look.
To me, it looks like a game console that you would find on Camino, on that clone planet in the Attack of the Clones. Especially when you look at the camera.
Looks like Master Cypher DS designed this console.
Yeah, you know, looking
it
at it
kind
next
of
to
the curved design of the Xbox 360 Slim. Kind of that form factor. Yeah. You can kind of see it.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, it's just the design of a console. I don't know. I'm way more interested in the SKU stuff and how much they'll reveal about that moving forward. I totally didn't think everything I think I predicted on our prediction. All 5 things I predicted in my predictions article earlier this week came true. We had Horizon, Ratchet, Demon Souls. There was no Bloodborne though. I guess I got that wrong. And then they didn't talk about the price or the release date, and then Resident Evil 8. Let's actually get into the game stuff. And so we're going to kind of recap this piece by piece, going through everything that was announced at the showing. Some of this stuff, there's a little bit more to break down than others. And there were a whole lot of games shown, so I don't think we're going to sit and dwell on every single thing for a really long period of time. So we might fly through some of these. I don't know. I guess let's start with the fact that... what a bizarre way to open this show with the Rockstar logo. Immediately makes your heart skip a beat, and then you realize it's GTA 5, and you're like, okay. and what's weird is, if I'm not mistaken, the footage they showed was all PS4 footage because it had the PS4 logo in the top left corner, and then they played after that. They said everything from this point on is PS5 footage, though. So it was like they opened this trailer just with old PS4 GTA 5 footage. It's stream they've been hyping up as the future of gaming for 2.5 weeks, and then the first thing we see is GTA 5 on PS4. Which is funny.
When I first saw it, I was like, "Wait, are we finally getting that single player DLC?"
That's what I said. Yeah,
but no, but everyone kept correcting me that no, it's old stuff.
It does say extended and enhanced.
It does.
So maybe there is single player DLC
No,
coming.
extended
I
as
don't
in
think
they're
there
just going to keep cranking this out because it's the number one selling game
What?
at
Sure.
GameStop. It's the number from someone who's had experience working at GameStop. No matter what, people buy that damn game. So
yeah, they do.
Oh yeah, of course.
So it's
I also was a GameStop.
the fact that
worker
they're
in
gonna
this game.
just bring it on
So
over
was
to the
I.
next one. It is what it is.
Yeah, so that's planning to come next year. I mean, I don't know. It's not surprising at all. The game sold 100. Is this game gonna sell 200 million copies now?
It has a
already sold
trajectory to
130.
keep going. Yeah, no, it has
It's
a
already
trajectory.
sold 130.
So-
So I mean, I guess there aren't any. I mean, you can assume that it's probably coming to Xbox Series X as well. They didn't say it was exclusive to PS5 unless I'm wrong.
To clarify,
No.
do you get a free copy of the
No.
game on PS5?
I don't
No,
think so.
PlayStation
No,
Plus users can get the standalone GTA online for free
Mhm.
first.
Oh, they
That's
separated it?
That
I guess.
Oh,
that's what it sounds like. That's what they're going to do. That's going to be
okay.
first-
I have the video here.
the standalone will be first on PlayStation 3. According to a press release, plus a new standalone version of Grand Theft Auto Online will also be available free for 3 months exclusively on PlayStation 5.
It's also coming in the second half of 2021, which is like we're like over a year and a half. It's like a year and a half out for a port of an old game, a port of a game from
Yeah.
2013.
But people still play it, man. People play that game.
It's just
Very
bizarre. I guess
frequently.
it's just bizarre to me that this kind of leads into our next talking point. We can move on. Is like Spider-Man. So we're getting a new Spider-Man game, Spider-Man Miles Morales. The game's coming out this year. Out. It seems like the big launch game for the PS5 right now. The other Spider-Man came out in fall 2018, and we're 2 years removed, and we're getting a new Spider-Man game. Meanwhile, this port of a game from 2013 is the second half of 2021. It's just kind of backwards, seemingly, that it's taking a longer time for them to port that game over than it would. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know if there's anything else to say about GTA, and we can start talking about Spider-Man.
They spent
Yeah,
way
Spider-Man.
too much time, I feel, showing off GTA at the beginning. Like 30
Yeah.
seconds, boom, done. Okay.
I mean,
But just kept
in,
going on and on.
in their
and on.
defense, that's going to be a console seller for people. The fact that they know that this game
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, that is like one of the mainstream games out there. It's like that, 2K, Madden, Call of Duty. Those are the mainstream games. So if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
a mainstream person tuning into this and you see GTA 5 at the top of it and it's confirmed that it's going to be on the next console, then
Yeah.
you and all your friends who play GTA Online are already sold on buying the new console because you know that game's going to jump over.
Yeah, the three mainstream games are obviously the sports games, the Grand Theft Auto games, and then, of course, Call of Duty. So the fact that this was like the first thing makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, so that makes total sense because you want to catch those people's eyes right as soon as it starts. Because they had like 2.5 million eyes on this once it started, or
Yeah.
at least over 2 million, I think, by the time it started. So yeah, I mean that makes sense, but still, I mean, for us who are like knee deep in the video game stuff, it was a weird jumping off point.
You
but it
should
makes
watch the
sense.
stream. You should watch all of our reactions go from like Rockstar, what?
Yeah, I really thought it was going to be GTA 6, and I was like, holy crap, they're actually doing this.
It's like, guess what? 2023? Nah, we're kidding. It's coming out next year. And I was like, no.
Let's talk about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
This is the one that I am obviously the big fan of here. So Spider-Man Miles Morales. We'd heard rumors that this was actually pretty far along, and some people thought it was going to come out. There was one rumor that was going around that this game was going to come out next year. So when I saw that, so I expected this game to potentially show up. Turns out it's coming out in holiday 2020. It has you playing seemingly as Miles Morales is the main character this time after being the he wasn't actually Spider-Man in the first game.
No.
But it seems like he's being shoved front and center in the sequel. There's also a lot of... Let's touch on this first real quick because I'm already seeing a lot of people say that this isn't a full-blown sequel and this is like DLC or I think it's an expansion. There's no way that's the case, in my opinion.
Well, here, really quick, because I brought this up there, and the other thing is like, is this the first light? Like, is this infamous first light?
No, I really don't think it is. Like people... This is their launch game right now. Because what did Ratchet and Clank say as far as release date? Is that this year or?
They didn't have a
They
release
didn't have a
date.
release date.
So like of all the games they showed today, and this was their big heavy hitter, like we got to come out and sell people on this console. the first thing they showed was this, and it's holiday 2020. Like, this is the launch game now that people are going to have circled on their launch lineup or whatever when they go to look to get a PS5 later this year. So if it's like not a full experience, or it's some tighter experience, it's only a couple hours long or something like that, that's a really strange marketing decision to have your biggest first party game out of the gate not be a full product that is like pretty like close to being the same length as the first game. I don't know. I mean, this obviously is just my own conjecture, and they haven't really said either way. I don't think. I mean, we're recording this like pretty soon after this ended, so more information on it could be coming out from Insomniac and Sony right now about it. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me for this to be like the big first party launch game that it seems like they're probably going to push in the lead up to PS5, and then not have it be I don't want to say full product, to just have it be of a smaller size and scope compared to the first game would be really bizarre to me.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that when they were showing off the tech for PS5, they were actually showing Spider-Man footage, right? They were showing you swinging through the city. At the very least, it's possible that they could just be working a lot of the assets from the first game.
Yeah.
Putting snow in, making it, because it's supposedly like a Christmas theme, looks like. And then
that had leaked a while back too, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. So the fact that it's kind of showed in the trailer, but at the very least, like, I mean, even if it, as much as I'm like, yeah, I want the full blown sequel, but even if this is like a side thing, and not so much a side thing, just a B-side story of a grander game universe where it's gonna have missions, it's gonna have a story mode, and I'm sure it's gonna be hopefully as long as the last game, even if it's not like a full jump. You know, I mean, the graphics looked really good, but to be honest, it literally could have came from the last game. So
yeah, I get very, along with what you're saying, Mario. I get this is a stopgap because they've done so much test. I feel with Spider-Man, like the demos we've seen with the loading and whatnot.
Yeah,
they're probably upping the resolution on the textures. Tweaking the graphics so it does look better, but it's not. This just looks like more to me. This strikes me more as a remaster of Spider-Man quality jump as opposed to the next Spider-Man game. Like, it's this isn't Spider-Man 2 to me. This is a bridge that will basically fill in and show you Miles. So then in Spider-Man 2, you can swap between Peter and Miles, or maybe. But it would be awesome if there was like a co-op aspect where one player could be Peter and the other Miles. But that's what I get from this. And because Spider-Man was such a big game and so well received, even if this is maybe a 15-20 hour experience or 10 to 15 hour experience reusing a lot of assets from the original game, I still think it'll be an incredibly strong showing and give the development team more time to create like the all new assets that they need for a Spider-Man 2, whether it's in a new city or what have you.
Yeah.
So
to jump in, so somebody in the chat, Dre said, game wasn't called Spider-Man 2, so he doesn't get the impression that it's a full-blown sequel. I think that makes sense to some degree, but at the same time, like, I guess Horizon.
I mean,
yeah, you could say that
Horizon
about
2.
Yeah, hidden.
Or even Infamous Second Son, or
I
lot of.
I feel like Sony goes with the subtitle thing a lot. Like, the next God of War is probably going to be God of War : something. Like, I'm not expecting
God of Thunder.
God of War, God of Thunder. Yeah, Gene Simmons is in the game.
Yes, thank you. I mean, to touch on like the Spider-Man stuff, like, and this is kind of going into another reveal. Like, Insomniac's also making a new Ratchet and Clank game, so it would just depend on which one they are considering their full-blown sequel and maybe what their like $40, $30 game is. Because last time Ratchet and Clank was a $40 game, like the original one for PS4. So like, if that's the case again, but I think Ratchet and Clank looks really good. I don't know, but I mean, I think I lean more towards Spider-Man Miles Morales being a full blown sequel, even if it is just reusing assets and stuff like that. That's not really out of the ordinary. If it tells like a brand new story with new characters and stuff, I don't see why it couldn't just be a full blown sequel, you know. And also, if Logan wants to share his, did you share your?
I haven't shared my big brain thing is that I mean, obviously spoilers for the first game if you care about that. So okay, 3, 2, 1. All right. Obviously, the end of the last game kind of introduced that they're going to be playing around with symbiote stuff in the future. Or that
Yeah.
very much seems to be the case.
Yeah, exactly.
So my Galaxy Brain hot take is that the reason Miles is going to be the protagonist of this game is because Black Suit symbiote Peter Parker is going to be the villain, or like pseudo anti-hero type that you're kind of going to bat with. And I think that would be incredible if that's the reason why Mario's head is now like. I think it'd be an awesome idea.
No, I'm in a.
I don't know if it would. I don't know if it would be like the straight. I think it would be a good stopgap, or if like they could transition those things from the last game. But I feel like, I don't know. There would have to be a lot of storytelling things that they would do to have it make sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Because they didn't really expand on the symbiote stuff very much at all. At the end of the last game, they just kind of threw it out there that it could be a possibility.
I also don't think it's out of the ordinary for like game sequels to like reuse like a city or something like that. I mean, you see that with the Yakuza games almost all the time. It's just always set in Kamurocho.
No,
so
sure.
like
you would think that
I think it could be the same thing with this one too.
Yeah, and I'm just curious how they would if they had expand the universe and go outside of New York possibly, or if they have gone to other done other things. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that they're going to do Enter the Spider-Verse. This game, the trailer had very much an Enter the Spider-Verse feel to it, all the way down from the neon colors and everything. So I feel it's definitely heavily inspired by that, and I'm very welcome for it. At the same time, I know that you said that like the Ratchet and Clank, like debating like which one's like their main title. I just think that Ratchet and Clank, while they actually showed gameplay with that, I mean, do you want to transition to that next since it's the same?
We can. There's a couple other things I want to say about.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one other thing I want to say about it.
But I was just basically saying that like even though it's like it was their budget title last year, I don't think that necessarily. I think that game's probably done. But they put Spider-Man out because there was possibly reusable stuff that they could do to make that game whole too. So I don't know. I'm not so sure, but that's just what I thought.
I think a few other things with this. So I fully expect it to like take place in the same city and mostly the same environment. The previous leaks that we had heard about this indicated that it was going to take place in winter, like Christmas time, and that showed in the trailer.
Yes.
So I think it's mainly going to be in New York again. Probably the city will mostly be the same, and the way they'll change it up is they'll alter the environments so it like feels fresher, even if it's just like in winter and there's snow on the ground and Christmas decorations everywhere or whatever. I mean, that'll make it feel a little bit different from the last game.
Ray traced Christmas decorations.
Exactly. The other thing too that stood out to me, and especially now, I looked back at the last game, and maybe it's just the jump in graphics or whatever. Miles definitely looks older, so I'm curious how many years are between the first game and this one. I mean, obviously he's got the suit now and stuff like that, and at the end of the DLC, I don't know if you guys played the DLC for this, but basically the DLC ended with Peter kind of training Miles like properly. And it kind of teased that was going to lead into the next game where Miles starts asking like throughout the DLC chapters and stuff like that, like, hey Peter, train me, and then like the game like officially ends with him like I think like jumping off a building and like trying to learn how to swing around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So obviously this is way far forward after Peter has seemingly trained him, and obviously he's Spider-Man now. So I'm curious how many years are between the games, because it seems like it's not a span of like just a couple months or anything like that. It looks like a long period of time, longer than I would have expected.
Sure.
And yeah, no villains are really teased in the trailer unless his hands on the thing at that start is something that I can't tell. I rewatched that a couple times. I really can't glean what that might be. So I looked at that a couple times, and yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. They didn't show any villains in this, and they really didn't show any villains in the other Spider-Man stuff when we first saw that game too.
No, that's not one trailer that had all of them in it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, long story short,
It's going to be great.
I mean, I'm buying the PS5 now on day one for this.
That's the problem, is that this trailer dropped, and I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna have to buy a PS5, aren't I?
Yeah, like I mean, I was gonna buy one anyway, but now it's like, okay, I have to buy this stupid console right at launch now. Which I'm excited for, and I was, like I said, I was gonna do that anyway, knowing that there will be a new freaking Spider-Man game there as well.
I'm watching the trailer now, and I think I see a character that looks very reminiscent of Mary Jane at one point, where he's like flying down the bridge. She's got red hair and got a hoodie, so I don't know if it
I'll have to rewatch that. Mike, you said you had something else too. What is it?
Yeah, I want to know. I want to see more like want to see more Marvel guest characters in this, and there is one New York one that I really want to see from Hell's
Daredevil.
Kitchen. He's a lawyer, and his
Daredevil.
name is Daredevil. I want to see that man in this game so bad.
I think it would be pretty rad if they do the Spider-Man's bad dude with the black suit type thing, and maybe other
when you
heroes
brought
in
it
the
up,
city are like kind of peeved at him.
Yeah.
For being
Well, and like the first game, it's in a universe where the Avengers exist, right? Like there are other
there's a tower.
characters that exist in this.
Matt Murdock also exists. There's a place for Matt Murdock that's there too. So
and so like all these characters exist in this universe. It'd be nice to actually see some of those characters.
Well,
of course I want Daredevil, but like I would like to see some other stuff too.
there's always that tease though that it's semi tied to the Avengers game, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's that too.
I think it is though, because and I don't know this for certain, but
I remember
Spider-Man talks about how they're out west at one point,
yes,
and
they
then
do.
the
They
Avengers
do.
game it obviously starts in San Francisco.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it makes me think they're tied together. I don't know. Marvel Games has been very loose with talking
very
directly
tight
about that stuff.
Which it could explain why Spider-Man's away is that he went to the south, he went to the West Coast.
Maybe. I mean, we don't know where
We don't know.
Peter's at.
We don't know
The trailer was
jack.
obviously meant to show Miles because he's going to be the new playable character for the most part. But
I got to listen to that voiceover again because I was listening to the volume very, I had to moderate it, so I couldn't hear what he was saying. So I really want to hear what he was saying. Other than I heard him saying like, "This is yours now" or whatever. So
I'm excited for it. It's really, really, really dope. Moving on.
yes,
No next-gen console leap is complete without a car video game.
Hell yeah.
Gran Turismo 7 announced. I don't think this is too much of a shock. This is kind of what people have been wanting for a while, too. 6 launched at the tail end of the PS3, and I don't think people ever... I just don't think it ever... People like... That game was good, but it seemed like it kind of was in the shadow of the PS4's launch, so I feel like it never got much hype. And then Sport kind of went in directions that I don't think other people like, so 7 seems like it's going to be that return to form that I know people have been asking for. Or give us a proper Gran Turismo game. Looks like a Gran Turismo game to me. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. It looks super pretty, obviously.
I play a whole lot of racing games, and I think I've only played Gran Turismo 5 and 6, and I dabbled a little bit in Sport. And like, I've never been a big fan of them. I've always been a Forza guy. I've always thought it just played better, even both Motorsport or Horizon. I mean, I don't know. It looks super nice, and obviously, it's going to be one of the games that showcases what, like, the graphical power and all that junk of the PS5. So, I mean, it'll be a real good thing to showcase to your friends. But again, like, I've just never been a Gran Turismo person. So, I mean, it's cool for people who do want that like proper Gran Turismo game, because that is definitely something that people want. Because I think Sport was a different direction, and I don't think it succeeded in what it was trying to do. So. I think that's still pretty exciting, though, that they actually show Gran Turismo. So, yep.
I don't got anything.
I was gonna say, I don't have much else to say about this either.
Here's the thing, though. If you have, I mean, I hate that I'm a racing fan because I'm like one of the only people who get excited.
Listen,
like
bring back Project Gotham Racing, and then you'll
there's other racing games coming out like for these things like Dirt 5, and they're probably going to have a Forza for Xbox. And when you have those two games compared to like a Gran Turismo, which usually feels dated when it comes out, I feel like that game is not good. I feel like there's better options. That's how I feel about it.
Cars go vroom vroom. That's my input.
Yeah, this is something I just won't play. I again, it's not anything. It's just not up my alley. I just don't play racing games. So, but I think it looked really good. But again, it looked a lot like Gran Turismo. The best part of the Gran Turismo games is like tuning in with your car and stuff like that. Like when they showed the actual like cars and the images of them in like the garage areas or whatever, fine tuning with everything. Like those are the cool parts of that. You got the cool.
Yeah, but if I wanted to do that, then I'd
background.
Yeah, if I wanted to do that, then I'd get Project Cars 3, which was also announced. So I don't know. Yeah, that's how I feel about that.
All right, so we already talked about it, but Ratchet and Clank, there's a Lady Ratchet or something. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Insomniac's second of the first 4 games shown to Insomniac joints, which is kind of surprising, or not really surprising. I think we expected to see both of these, but we just didn't know if we would see them so close together. Looks really good. Like, it looks like Ratchet and Clank, but obviously the visuals are way better. That it looks like it's expanding on everything that was introduced in the remake or the reboot that they put out a few years back.
I felt like out of all the things that were shown, like I think that one is the one that like showed like the technical power of the PlayStation 5 with like all the like there was a section where they had like a bunch of reflections and stuff, and all those reflections where it seemed like real time and not baked in stuff. So like that stuff was really cool to see, like running on a PS5 and all that stuff. So I thought technically it looked like the best thing that they showed, for me at least. That kind of sold me on like the graphical power of it. It looks like an animated movie. Like, and I think we've said that too about the Ratchet and Clank release that came out in like 2016? Yeah. I think we've said that about that one too, but this one it looks ridiculous. It looks really good.
Yeah, what I said on the stream was that every generation there's always that this looks like Toy Story. This looks like a Pixar movie. This looks like Pixar. I'm sorry. This looks like Toy Story 3 or Toy Story, getting close to Toy Story 4. Like, that's how good I think that the ray tracing is, the actual imagery of it, what it is. This game looks really great. What I think works really well, especially with the animation style, but the games that they showed today, the games that I resonate the most with are the ones that are the least realistic looking. So it's like this one. It is the oh my god,
Bug Snacks.
Not Bugs. Yeah, that one. Kind of looks fantastic. The Devil Inside game. Those all to me resonated with me because the graphics look so well because they're so well designed, stylized and designed. Yeah. So yeah, for sure. Like, this game looks fantastic. I loved the remake when it came out. That was my first play of actually any Ratchet and Clank games. So the fact that we got one, I got a new one. I'm actually pretty hyped for it. The game looks pretty great.
Scott, where you at?
Super stoked. It looks beautiful. Like, when they were jumping through portals, I was convinced that we were going to get like an appearance of like Jack and Daxter or Sly Cooper or something from that other team.
I don't know. Someone said there was, but I
from like the team up game that they used to do.
Yeah.
So I thought like the jumping between dimensions that they were going to it was going to be kind of have some sort of cameo. I'm happy it doesn't, though. I would have loved a Sly Cooper ref cameo, but super excited by it. It looks like a lot of fun. I'm glad that it's the first all new Ratchet and Clank game that we've had in a long time. So I'm anxious to see what all they do with it. They're such fun games. They're just fun games to play. So I'm stoked for it. I'm anxious to see what all the goodies and the funny weapons you get in this game are. So
that was kind of my question about this one. And this was my question coming into it too, because we felt like a Ratchet game was going to be shown. Is this a sequel to the reboot, or is this a sequel to like the Ratchet and Clank Future stuff they were doing?
The Nexus, I think, was the last one.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe. Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, they had all those PS3 games that were continuing on from the PS2 stuff, and the only PS4 entry they had was a reboot / like remake of the first one.
Yeah.
And I assume that this is following up on that now, and we're just going in a new direction.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the Ratchet and Clank lore is like anything that most people are like super concerned about out there. I don't want to discount some people's opinions.
Well, especially when it's a game about multiple dimensions, right? With the fact that they're moving through time. So the fact that they probably are going to reintroduce some of those things, because if I'm not mistaken, Ratchet and Clank change looks throughout games, right? And if you look back, that they look very similar to the PS4 game. So I would almost think that this is a sequel. It's just that, it might be some Calvin timeline, some Final Fantasy stuff. Who knows?
Yeah, it looks really good. I'm really excited for it. I'm kind of surprised there's not a release window on this one yet. And honestly, this one, especially since they've probably been working on this one for, like, it's really surprising to me. I mean, I understand why people think the Miles Morales game is like a spin-off or expansion or something that's not going to be as big, because it's wild that Insomniac's been able to make that game in a little over 2 years. In this game, it's been 4 years since a Ratchet game, and I feel like if this was coming out later this year, they would have said that, but maybe I'm wrong. I also feel like launching with 2 Insomniac games is kind of crazy, but
Yeah.
I feel like
I could see maybe first quarter of 2021, maybe a January or February release.
Yeah, I could see that too. Like, I don't think this one's far out at all. And unless I'm totally mistaken, they didn't say it window, right?
No,
Mm-mm.
they didn't
They
say
didn't,
window. No, they also said it was pre-alpha footage, so I don't take that as what you will.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's a Lady Lombax. What does that mean? I don't know.
Do we all know what that
And
means?
stuff. It means they're about to be some
Maybe Lombaxes. That's what it means.
about to be some smooching.
Or she
Yeah,
don't need
again,
no
like-
man.
It looks really good. I mean, Ratchet games are just consistent fun. So
Yeah.
it'd be great. Good feather in the PS5's cap there. Let's talk about briefly. I don't think there's a whole lot to touch on here. Project Athia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently,
served to talk about this one.
In a
well, what's really
world.
cool, apparently Gary Whitta led the team of writers for this game.
Ooh.
Interesting.
He announced on Twitter after, really proud to reveal that I led a crack team of A-list writers from the worlds of film, TV, games, and fantasy literature who helped create this immense new universe for Square Enix. Can't wait for you to see and learn more. Stay tuned. # Project Athia.
It's funny you say that
So-
because very much the trailer is very much like a movie trailer. It even starts with "in a world where."
I mean, everybody thought that this was going to be like Final Fantasy at first because of the Square Enix, and those were the hot rumors coming into this. Or maybe not rumors, but it's just, I don't know, people have been
I
expecting it.
realized it wasn't going to be Final Fantasy when they showed her walking and it was just like Converse sneakers her wearing. It's like that's not
mean-
fantasy enough. That
Nah, that's Final Fantasy 15. Could be. I mean, they wear combat
No,
boots,
tho-
but you know.
yeah, those are combat boots. This is like it's like
I mean,
that's not fantasy enough.
The fact that she's
It's like
wearing
capris and a Converse.
Here's actually, I mean, speaking of the devil, I actually just got a press release sent over about this. We probably all did, actually, because, yeah, we got it sent to all of us. Anyway, according to this, so it's from Luminous Productions. It is an otherworldly adventure in development for PlayStation 5 and PC. Project Athia will transport players to a world filled with beauty and dismay as they set upon a thrilling, story-led, action-packed adventure which can be twisted, tempestuous, and forbidding. I mean, that's not really saying a whole lot.
What's
I don't know.
tempestuous mean? I don't encounter that word all that frequently, so I'm not too
I'm
Sure,
a
what
writer,
that
and I
means.
could not tell you that one, sir.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. This one's really interesting. There's not a whole lot here I think to really dissect right now, other than the fact that it's Square Enix toiling away on something. I don't know. This one feels like a big TBD, or we got to see way more of this. And the fact that it's still called Project makes you think that it's further out, but also that just could be Square Enix being secretive about it. It's really hard to say.
Do
Remember
we
when they
think this
made a
is the
game called?
that?
Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry.
Nope, you first.
Fine.
Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Remember that one time they made a game called Project Octopath Traveler, and
I
that was
do
just the name. So
Great
I mean, it might
point.
just need a name.
The game could just be called Athia, I guess.
Yeah.
Drop the project like an Octopath. Scott, your turn.
Do we think that this is the game that I can't remember his name, but that combat director came on that they announced yesterday or the day before?
I didn't see that news, so I'm not familiar with what you're talking about personally.
He joined project or the team that's doing like Final Fantasy 14. I'm trying to remember his name, but he worked on like Dragon's Dogma and Devil May Cry 5.
Oh, maybe I do know what you're talking about.
It was like
I don't think this would be him.
yesterday or the day before.
If I'm making weird faces, by the way, in the stream, it's because I'm looking at the cat from Stray, and it's just so awesome. I can't wait until we talk about this game.
Nice.
I'm not sure. I wouldn't imagine he's on this. The thing I'm most curious about with Athia before we move on is just how long it's been in development. It seems it's hard to ever judge those things with Square Enix too. What's the team behind this? Luminous? Like, they haven't worked on anything in a while, so it stands to reason that this has been baking for a bit. But I I don't know. It's Square Enix development timelines, which are
Time
always
means nothing to Square Enix.
yeah. Development timelines for Square are different than everybody else in the video game industry for the most part. So this game could be 10 years out still.
Yep. And two, just scrap it and start over. Well, just they have to still scrap it and start over again before they actually release it. So,
let's talk about Stray. Kitty Cat game. Not a whole lot to say here. I don't think it's from Annapurna.
What are you talking about, Logan? There's a lot to say.
I mean, it's just a CGI trailer. I don't know. It's a game about a bunch of robots, and then there's a kitty cat.
Yeah.
I say there's not a lot to talk about because we didn't see real gameplay or anything like that. So I don't know what this game is going to be necessarily.
I'm going to tell you what it's about. I'm going to tell you what it's about. It's about this cat, and he's got a backpack, and he's carrying some vital. Because if you see in the beginning of the trailer, he doesn't have the backpack. But if you watch a little bit later in the trailer, he has a cute little backpack. So this is the sequel to Death Stranding that we all wanted. All right?
Norman Reedus has been turned into a cat by the giant dead whales.
That's right.
Also, it was Ryota Suzuki, designer of Devil May Cry 5 and Dragon's Dogma, that joined Square Enix as the battle director of a new AAA title under the third business development division. That division has Naoki Yoshida's Final Fantasy XIV. And this AAA title has been rumored to be Final Fantasy 16 or whatever. So it was...
I mean, if she just joined and it's a design thing, this game looks like it's got some design choices that have already been... There's a dragon in this game. There's a thing with an eyeball staring through some trees. I don't know. If she had just joined, it's a woman, right?
Guy.
Oh, guy. I don't know why I thought it was a woman. If they just joined, then yeah, it doesn't seem like it would be this. But who's to say? And Square Enix is hard to really track. Anyway, kitty cat game.
Kitty Cat game, cute. I can't wait to play it. Game of the year.
Is it due out next year, right?
It didn't say anything.
I thought it said 2021, but
let me triple check.
Mario, I got a question for
2021.
you.
2021. You're right. Yes.
Okay.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Does this cat have two buttholes like the one from Sludge, whatever? What is it called? Sludge Life?
I hope not. I hope I hope it's a safe kitty, clean kitty. I don't know how to respond.
Little ball
to
of
that.
fur.
Little ball of fur. You know what I'm saying? We can move on now.
Yeah, we can move on.
Housemarque, baby. Housemarque, their biggest game they ever made. Returnal. It's a roguelike. I died and then I woke up again and I was still alive. And then I got some more augments on myself and then I fought some more monsters. Two things here. I love Housemarque. So first thing, this game looks like, of all the games visually that we saw, I think this one looks kind of awesome. Like in terms of we saw some actual gameplay clips in here that looked rad as heck. So that's got me excited. I don't know. Roguelike I'm not sure about with Housemarque, but I think it's an interesting proposition. Roguelikes though I can go back and forth on. But if the combat is as good as it seems to be in this, and it looks really hectic and wild and things are shooting all over the screen, then I will very much play a lot of loops of this game. Mikey, I know you like Housemarque a lot.
I am a Nex Machina is one of my favorite games of all time, I think. So I mean I'm very excited for this. I love arcade, really good arcade games, and Housemarque has been known for that. This is obviously not that, but they do know how to make a game play well. And I mean, if what I saw there plays well, I'll be more than happy to check it out.
One thing that Housemarque does well is that their games play butter most of the time too. So
yeah, if there's anything I am fairly certain on, I'm sure the game will play well. It's more like how they implement all these systems, because they said it's like a roguelike third person action game, but also with side scrolling in it. What is it? Yeah, Returnal combines side-scrolling action with roguelike gameplay into a third-person shooter where players fight to survive a hostile planet that changes with every death. Which, I mean, that sounds really neat and cool, but I just hopefully they could make that fun, because sometimes roguelikes could be not great. So I don't know.
Anybody else got feelings on this one they want to get out there?
It looked like Mass Effect Andromeda. I hope it's better. That's all I'll say. I don't have.
I think the name's not great.
Yeah,
Nope.
the name's terrible.
Returnal. I guess
This
the
is
only
the game where they say remothered, right?
maybe
No.
I didn't really hear what they're saying.
Wait, is this the game that they said remothered? No, that was earlier today. There was a game called Remothered, I believe.
Even better. Now that I learned this news.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, the title's not great. The one thing I'll say about this one, Housemarque's been hyping this game up for a long time, and if you've been following the studio, they've been teasing for a long time that they're working on something major, and that they pitched this around, and a publisher bought the idea, and they couldn't say who the publisher was, but they were super hyped about it, and they're like, oh, we can't wait to talk more. They put, remember when they were making a Battle Royale game? You all remember that? They put that game on ice to work on this, because apparently Sony helped fund this game, which is being published exclusively on PS5, which is not a shock considering the past history they have with Sony.
Yeah.
So none of this is a shock that they're all working together, but they have been teasing for a long time, like, oh, we have a publishing partner for this game, we're super hyped for it, and it's going to be like the biggest game we've ever made, and blah, 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 blah. So you can finally put to rest what all those teases were, and is this. So yeah.
Okay.
Little Big Planet sort of lives on, and Sackboy, A Big Adventure, which looks cute. I don't know. I didn't have.
It's the Mac of the PS5 launch.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that. This in Astrobot, the Playroom game.
They didn't have a launch date, though, for this one.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of odd, too.
So
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the like it's their take on Mario Brother games, like
Yeah, it looks sort of like that.
3D world.
my thing is that
Anyway.
I feel like the Little Big Planet series has always been known for like character creation and stuff like that, and I wonder if that'll be implemented at all in this one, because it's a 3D platformer rather than the normal like 2D stuff.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that will come into play at all, or if it will just be like a normal 3D platformer with Sackboy as the protagonist or the main character, like always. But that was one thing. It looks fun. It looks like something I'd play with like my younger brother and sisters-in-law and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I don't know if this strikes a chord with me personally much anymore, but
yeah.
I mean, not that I'm like grown out of fun, cutesy little fun games like this, but yeah, I don't know. It's just nothing really stood out about it to me other than Sackboy's cute still.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like the design of all those characters, so I'm fine with Little Big Planet continuing onward. I just am probably not going to play most of those games anymore. I didn't play 3. I didn't play that much of 2, actually, now that I think about it. But Scott, you got anything on this one before we move on?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, sad.
Let's go back to Stray,
Bad
guys.
boy.
I think there are a few of these here we can fly through. Destruction All Stars is
You got an All Stars game.
yeah, it's not PlayStation All Stars, it's Destruction All Stars.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't really remember this one personally. I'm sorry for people watching this and are like, why don't you remember this stuff? We were like working while we were trying to watch this, so I'm like trying to write articles and do normal day job things for the website while watching this out of the corner of my eye. This was one where it was like really colorful looking though, and had like all the
It
eclectic
looks
characters fighting, right?
it looks like Psyonix
imagine.
should send them a DMCA, because it just looks like Rocket League, just straight ripped with derby. That's literally what it looks like to me.
Okay, that's what this is.
And it
So this is
also
Battle Royale car thing.
it's a battle royale.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
I don't know if
Okay.
it's a battle royale, but it's like a bunch of cars are fighting each other. So
Yeah. And also I thought it was that. Remember that rollerball game that's coming out?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Rollerball?
There's like a rollerball game coming out.
oh, the Ubisoft game.
Yeah, I thought it was that, and I'm like, what the hell? And then a car showed up, and I'm like, okay, this is an interesting direction. Then
It looks like Bleeding Edge,
it does look like Bleeding Edge.
a great video game.
Some would say it's pretty all right.
Game everyone played.
Let's keep
I
flying.
played it.
Let's keep flying through some of these. Kina Bridge of Spirits from Ember Lab. This was the one that the two brothers appeared before.
It
and
was the
said they
two
were
brothers.
creating
Yeah, it was.
creating a cute emotional game. This game visually looks great. Reminds me
looks
of like
fantastic.
Yeah.
Kubo and the Two Strings type stuff is what
does.
That's what it reminded me of too.
I wonder if
Kind of got
these,
some Kickman vibes going.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if these two people worked on those movies because they said they were from film. So I'm curious of like what they bring from movies that they've worked on for this project, because specifically this thing looks amazing.
Yeah, animation wise, it looks off the charts. I don't know how much actual gameplay we were shown in this, but just like
There was
visually,
quite a bit.
Yeah, there was
Wasn't
actually.
it?
Yeah, I'm watching it right
I'm trying to
now.
watch the trailer again out of the corner of my eyes over here. Yeah, it
did-
looks really
Oh, sorry.
impressive.
I was gonna say they did put up. I mean, if you wanted to see some of them like at higher quality, some of the trailers that came out, PlayStation on their YouTube page has been putting out like actual like 4K video of all this stuff. So it does
I'm really excited.
look
to
a
watch
lot
it on
nicer than
television.
like a stream, like than
Yeah.
what they were streaming. It looks crazy. It looks super nice.
It looks like a third-person action game mixed with Pikmin. Because
Mhm.
you send the
Yes.
guys to fight for you, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it looks really. I forgot that they showed all this gameplay. Again, I was like jumping back and forth. Yeah, the animation work looks stellar. It looks like kind of Concrete Genie
Yes, it does.
as well in terms of just the visual style, but
Mhm.
a way better version of that. Not to crap on Concrete Genie, I didn't play that game, but
No, for sure. This is
No.
this is one of those examples I was talking about where the actual game benefits from being a stylized versus like realistic.
Mm-hmm.
and I think it shows just how much the PlayStation 5 can do in turn. I mean, I think this is where the point we're getting at with game development too is that like animation work is getting way better. Like this is the thing that's really been standing out to me with some of the games we've got coming out in the coming months as well. Like Last of Us, I think Last of Us 2 looks pretty crazy in terms of its animation work. Cyberpunk does as well. Just the quality of like character models and stuff is improving so much, and this is definitely a good example of that too. So, what is this game called again? Exactly, Kena Bridge of Spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one of those iffy titles, but you know what? I think the game alone sold me. So I'm excited to play this game.
I was very impressed by this trailer, and I was
Yeah.
really. And it was probably one of my favorite new IPs or like new franchises that they showed from everything today.
I'm with you
Yeah.
on that too.
There's a few titles here that I wish that like if Sony was gonna push like hard on actual PS Now, that some of these titles I wish were like exclusive to that platform, that maybe I'd try out, but I don't know how much they're gonna go in that direction, but still would like to try it.
You guys want to talk about this Goodbye Volcano game, which looks like a
I don't know.
teen angst thing with like animal type looking characters or something like that? Cartoon
The
animation.
most Alex O'Neill game in the
Yeah.
entire press conference.
Yeah,
Yes.
Irrational
Good
Passions,
words.
Alex O'Neill, 100%. I love the title. Goodbye,
Goodbye
Volcano
Volcano
High.
High.
Is one of my favorite titles. There's a few titles in here I'm like, that's awesome. There's a few titles I'm like, what is that? That's the one where I'm like, that title's good. Anyways, what else is going on?
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I mean, the trailer we saw for this was like all just animation work, so we didn't see like any gameplay. So I'm not sure what. No, there's probably more information out about this right now that I don't know about. So can't speak too much to it right now. Like, if it's
Yeah.
like a visual novel or if it's like an adventure game or something like that. I would assume it's something along those lines because it looks pretty narrative driven.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. There's not a whole lot I feel like I can say about this one personally.
For sure.
Nope.
No,
To
no.
say anything. Oddworld Soulstorm. More Oddworld games. Does anybody like Oddworld games? I've never played any, so I
I've
can't really speak to
Never
them.
played them. Always wanted to, but I never knew what games they were. I actually have no idea. All I've seen is Stranger's Wrath, but I don't know what any of the Oddworld games are.
I'm pretty sure Soulstorm is the one that Lorne Lanning has been saying he's like wanted to make forever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
Like,
a
it's like
not
big thing that happens at the end of this trailer.
Yeah.
it's like the true sequel. Like initially he pitched and had an idea written up for I think it was 5 games based on Abe and Oddworld and everything.
Mhm.
And the first one came out and that was the first one. The second one was kind of like a side story, and then it kind of branched off as he tried to get funding for the future titles, like the future main titles. And that's where like Stranger's Wrath and kind of those other offshoots came
Munch's
from.
Odyssey.
Where-
It's Odyssey.
Right. Where Soulstorm looks to be, and I believe, like you were saying, is the true like next big chapter story beat that he had come up with. So
yeah, it has a pretty crazy moment at the end where the man's cutting the thing off his face, which he's known for. Cool.
What does this say about society? Who knows?
That's right. We need to open up our voices and speak out.
It's hard for me to say too much about Oddworld. I don't think any of us here have played these games. I do know a little bit of the franchise's history, and I've heard Lauren talk about them in the past. But yeah, if you're an Oddworld fan, there you go. PS5 Oddworld game. I'm gonna not jump ahead because the next thing on the docket here is Ghostwire Tokyo, but I want to loop this in with Deathloop as well. Let's talk about both the Bethesda games here in one chunk, because there's something fascinating that has come to light. Maybe they mentioned it in the presentation and I totally just missed it. So both Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop. So Ghostwire Tokyo is from Tango Gameworks. That's the Shinji Mikami studio, the guy who made Resident Evil. They've also made The Evil Within is what they're known for. And then Deathloop is an arcane game. Both of these are PS5 exclusive, which means Xbox is not getting these games, which is pretty shocking, honestly. I don't know if they're timed exclusives. They're coming to PS5 and PC, so they're both coming to PC too. Ghostwire was the first one they showed. They revealed this last year at E3. Bethesda had previously said that they were planning to show more of this one this year at E3 before it got canned, so for it to show up here is not too surprising. Deathloop also got revealed last year at E3, and we had seen a CGI trailer for that. So today we got gameplay of both of these. The interesting nugget with Ghostwire Tokyo, and I don't think they had said this before, is that the game is first person. And it looks wild. It looks bizarre as can be.
It looks like
I don't know,
real poppy version of Dishonored.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know what to make of it. All I know is that everything they showed I'm totally into. And I will play Shinji Mikami games because they're made by Shinji Mikami, and that's about it. That's all I need. Ghostwire Tokyo looks super interesting to me. And I'm very excited for that one. They also revealed that this is coming out next year. So we've got a 2021 release window for this. Anything stick out to you guys about that trailer?
I like the kung fu magic, and I hope I can Naruto run everywhere.
This was probably one of my favorite things that they showed because I love horror stuff, and although this looks more like I mean, we're going to talk about Resident Evil 8 in a little bit, but it doesn't look like that kind of horror, but it's still like looks like a fun time. Like,
it doesn't look like Evil Within type stuff. It looks more just kind of like wild.
But I like what they've done with some of like the environments. Like they show like that giant tree thing that looks awesome, and I like that it's like all in like normal Tokyo, but like there's some crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It looks really cool. I'm definitely excited to play it for sure.
Our coworker Ricky Freck just DM'd me and said, "Hey, I'm watching the stream, and by the way, they are both timed exclusives. So these will come to Xbox in time, but clearly Bethesda and PlayStation are now working together, which is kind of fascinating to me in a certain degree because I feel like Bethesda's been long tied to Xbox and Microsoft when it comes to like partnership deals and things like that. Yeah. Like even going back to like Fallout 76 even more recently, and Fallout 4, like they were tied at the hip with Microsoft when it came to marketing for those games. I don't know what they're more. Those are like the Bethesda Game Studios proper games. I don't know what they've really tied themselves to with their other studios when it comes to marketing deals like that. But anyway, no, that's super interesting. I mean, on Deathloop's front, Deathloop looks awesome. I'm not a huge arcane guy, but what they showed of that game looks dope as can be. It looks like it's got a lot of the Dishonored crossover mechanics, just with shooting now. And the guns look really unique and novel. And I don't know, like this game wasn't on my radar as much as other people's was last year with just the trailer that they showed. But seeing the actual gameplay now has me like 10 times more interested. This one's also coming out this year. So this is going to be a launch window game for them, which is
that's really good.
Which is something you can pick up alongside Spider-Man, I guess. So far, the launch window games are Deathloop, Spider-Man, and I would assume Madden
Godfall.
and FIFA.
You'll
Godfall.
have
NBA 2K21.
Is Yakuza going to come to PS5?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think they've confirmed it yet. Or maybe they did confirm it.
and
You would-
PS4 probably.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
already confirmed for PS4, but I think they've only announced it for Series X and not PS5 yet. But maybe I'm wrong about that one. Ricky probably knows and is about to DM me because I would imagine he knows. Yeah, Deathloop. Where are you guys at with that one?
I like the style of like the art and stuff that they were showing.
Mm-hmm.
The grindhouse sort of look to it, or
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really into that. So it definitely convinced me more than, like you said, like with the trailer that they showed before. Like this one definitely convinced me more to be like, oh, maybe I'll try this one. Maybe I'll check this one out instead of like skipping out on it or playing it later on or something like that. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited for it.
This looks like a less stealthy version of Dishonored, which I'm actually kind of in for. It does look like a lot of fun, especially with all the powers and the guns I'm watching right now. So, yeah, for sure, I'm definitely into it. I did notice something about the voice acting. Am I wrong by saying that doesn't sound like Dave Fennoy, who was in the last trailer?
I'm not sure. I didn't hear the voice acting very well, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, he just sounded
Yeah.
very non-Dave Fennoy. And Dave Fennoy, too, he has a distinct voice. Even when done other characters in, like, Telltale games, I could tell it's him. This is the one time where I'm like, this doesn't sound like him. And he kind of was my selling point when I first saw it last year. But ultimately, I think that I do really like the first Dishonored game. I never even tried Dishonored 2 for some reason. But this is definitely more my aesthetic. You know, it's got that look to it. Like, especially when you see in the background, there's like a place called the Candy Bar, and the way that they designed it. It has that design that I'm actually kind of really interested in.
For me, I am a big fan of Arcane Studios, so I was going to get Deathloop regardless. But what they showed today with the reveal of like the different powers, very reminiscent of Dishonored, just the speed of it, I'm almost curious if it's going to be a kind of a Hotline Miami sort of take, where it's like you just trying to go through a level really quickly to assassinate all the guys before the midnight counter, as opposed to like a lengthy drawn out campaign like you would in like a Dishonored and stuff. But what really sold me and got me really excited was right at the end of the trailer, where they showed another player going into and taking control of the assassin that's trying to kill you the entire time. So the counter, or like the 1v1 aspect, could be really cool with this game, and I think has me most excited.
Yeah. And they haven't really explored how that's going to play out exactly, like on a moment-to-moment basis, which I'm still really curious to see, like long-form sessions of how this game is going to work. But yeah, I totally wasn't won over when I saw this last year. I dug the style of it, but I didn't know what to expect when it came to actual gameplay. Now that they've actually shown it, it looks rad as can be. So yeah, that's probably one I'll look to pick up later this year. Again, while both of those are timed exclusives, though, Sony's making some moves. Quick, let's touch on Jet the Far Shore, which is like a 2D spaceship looking game from Super Brothers, who worked on Sword and Sorcery. It looks really stylish. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to say about this one personally. Doesn't look.
Yeah.
The shots kind of remind me of like in like Blade Runner, when they're going down to like in that first shot of Blade Runner 2049. That's like kind of what it reminded me of for some reason.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like look and stuff. I don't know. This in a way this kind of like screams like this is kind of like a me thing. Like it looks like something I would play and I would like, but I just don't really know what's going on in it. So I don't know. I might check it out though. It looks interesting at the very least for me.
It's interesting because between this and Housemarque, where I feel like it's these quote unquote indie devs are given a lot more opportunity to expand it out to like what they haven't done before. Like, well, except in the case of the Housemarque, it looks like they're still going to have some ties to their roots, but it's going to be a third person action this time. It is interesting. I didn't particularly think this game looked all that great. graphically, but that's just my personal taste. I don't know what this game is other than the little taste that they gave me. It doesn't really speak to me personally. So, I don't know. Take that up for what you will.
It's one of those indies that I think is going to be like more. I mean, it's easy for it to get overshadowed in a conference that had so many other big things. I think if this was shown in isolation, it might prompt more intrigue from us.
Sure.
But it's just.
It seemed like something you see at the Guerrilla Collective.
Yeah, in the midst of everything else we're touching on here, it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But again, Super Brothers has a good track record, so I have no doubt that this is probably going to be solid when it releases.
For sure.
Godfall, saw more gameplay from that. This was the first PS5 game revealed. I think this game looks bad.
It looks bad.
I say this. I'll say this. I don't think it looks bad in the sense that like what they have shown looks terrible.
To me, it looks
it's more just like it looks like this game more than any other game that we know of in the launch lineups so far screams to me launch game. It is just the most straightforward heck. What's popular? How about third-person action Souls-like games? Yeah, let's make one of those. We'll make it a launch game. Like this has like Rise Son of Rome written all over it to me when I see it. And I could be totally wrong. It's also coming from Gearbox Publishing, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And which is not Gearbox proper, so I don't. Gearbox is a find of. I don't know. The game looks fine. Maybe I'm totally underrating it. But I just think I think it just sounds creatively bankrupt. Would be my thing.
Just to go with your sentiments, like when we talked about me, Cam, and everybody, we basically thought it would just look like another Gearbox trying to catch the trend of like the hero loot shooter, but now this is like a third-person version of it, mixed with like it kind of reminded me of Smite, which is just I don't know, like it didn't.
I mean, the description of the game, it's openly a Souls-like too. I'm pretty sure. It is. So
it's just
one of those.
It didn't. I couldn't tell you by looking at the trailer. To be honest, I thought it was a multiplayer like full-on experience.
Oh no!
It's like a co-op Diablo-esque looter.
Wow.
Souls-like.
Like a loot Souls-like, yeah.
I could not tell you that from that trailer. It literally looked like it was like MOBA-esque. Like I could not tell you from that trailer. And we've seen this game before, and I don't even. Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't say anything to me. Back to back, nothing says anything to me.
From Counterplay Games, by the way, the developer.
I'll probably give it a shot because I think the armor stuff looks really cool, and I'm a sucker for cool looking armor. So,
play Destiny.
Play World of Warcraft.
No. Yeah, why not?
I would play more Final Fantasy 14 before. I like Final Fantasy 14. Like I'm a big fan of 14, not a fan of World of Warcraft.
There you go.
That's fair.
Sorry.
That's okay.
People are messaging me about work things. So yeah, Godfall. I don't know. Solar Ash. I'm in on this one. This is what's the name of the studio? So it was
the guys that
Hyperlight
Drifter.
Hyperlight Drifter, folks. I can't remember the name of the
Heart Machine.
Yes.
Yes.
This is their new game. Looks very similar in style, at the very least, to Hyperlight Drifter.
Thought it was
which is kind of enough for me to be interested in this one, because the style of Hyperlight Drifter is like the best part of that game. I think is the art design, the design, the music, just everything about that is way more cool to me than actually playing that game. Not to say that the game played poorly, but I don't know. I just really love their design of Hyperlight Drifter. So to see that kind of return here has me definitely intrigued at a very baseline level. Not a lot to touch on with this one, I don't think. Just mainly just again another CGI trailer announcing that this is their next game. Anything standing out to you guys about this one?
Yeah. I'll actually say as I haven't played a whole lot of Hyperlight Drifter. I played a little bit of it, but I can kind of gauge the style. Like looks similar to this. This to me looks like the evolution of like Risk of Rain. I don't know if you ever played Risk of Rain. Risk of Rain is like a side-scrolling shooter, but then if you play Risk of Rain 2, it's like a whole other thing. And then to me, it's like, oh, it's like the evolution of what those guys were doing in that game that they're now applying to this. So to me, it looks really great. Out of all the games that are like all those small indie people doing a new thing, this is to me the one where I'm like, yeah, this speaks to me. So that's what I'm excited for. It's coming out next year, so you have some time for it. But yeah, I'm ready for whatever that is.
I'm kind of just to echo what you guys are saying. I think stylistically it looks really cool. I did like it kind of does the whole shot where it like shows like the entire world and stuff. I'm assuming that means it might be some sort of open world kind of thing. And I really want to like explore that environment. I think it looks really cool. Something that now that I'm just noticing at the end of these trailers that are on this thing, because I'm looking at all the trailers whenever we're talking about game. Yeah. This one says PlayStation console exclusive, PS5 and PS4. And then in the small print, it says console exclusive for a limited time, also available on PC.
Oh, okay.
Seems to be like they're a lot of it time exclusive.
Yeah, this is weird. But also that this is also coming to PS4. It's not coming to PS5. And just exclusively on PS5. So anyway, yeah, it looks cool. I'm pretty excited for it.
You got anything you want to add on this one, Scott?
No, it looks very good. I want to see more of the gameplay. I like kind of the skating aspect or kind of the movement. Kind of reminded me of Pathless. Just kind of the smooth nature of how she seemed to move. I'm anxious to see more of it. And yeah.
Cool.
That's about it.
Let me consult our notes here again because I got off base. Hitman 3. Guys like to do more Hitman things. IO Interactive, I mean, it seemed obvious they were working on this. I think they said they were working on this already.
Yeah,
not long ago that they were working on the third Hitman game or the next installment of it. They've been teasing this for a while. Comes out in January of next year, right? So this is a launch window game. They showed a real cool trailer for it. The animations and the visuals looked real darn good. You got Agent 47 there. They showed some brief gameplay for this too. The soundtrack slammed on this trailer as well.
Yeah,
it's like a cyberpunk sounding thing. I don't know. It looks like a next gen Hitman game, which is that's fine by me. I will play a next gen Hitman game. I'm wondering if they're going to still do the games as a service or not games as a service, or that just kind of like I wonder if they'll fold in everything from 1 and 2 with this as well.
Yeah.
That seems super ambitious, but could see it happening, I guess.
I could see that happening too because, if I'm not mistaken, like my first experience with Hitman is actually because I played Hitman 2, but it brought in all the content of 1 in. So I'm playing all that. I'm basically playing Hitman 1 in Hitman 2. I haven't even touched Hitman 2 yet. But at the very least, if they do that for this, I don't see why not, because it would work in the similar way of like Destiny, how that works, where Destiny is going to start cycling in year 1 content from Destiny 1. So I could see that absolutely happening. I mean, the game doesn't look too far off what's different, but then again, they could just up-res or whatever you want to say it, to bring that and just apply the new mechanics, whatever the new things are in this game, like they did for 1. So absolutely, if that's the case, then I don't know if I want to keep playing 2 if it is going to do that, but at the very least, I'm going to still progress through 1 at least.
Well, I mean, with the forward compatibility thing too, like let's assume that Hitman 2 is a game that's backward compatible or whatever. Like, I don't know. I like it's not as simple as just everything goes forward, I guess, and that they could roll in a backward compatible portion of a game into this, and then if you want to access it, it accesses the PS4 files that are then just backward compatible on PS5. I don't know. Like maybe they could do all of that, find a way to make Hitman 3 and have it, if you own Hitman 2 and Hitman 1, you can have it all accessible from one browser, even though the Hitman 2 and 1 content is not technically being upgraded for 5 outside of just the basic upgrades that you get from them being backward compatible. I don't know if anything that I'm saying makes sense right now. If you could basically just have Hitman 3 be a launcher for the backward compatible versions of Hitman 2 and Hitman 1, I guess is what I'm saying.
Sure.
Assuming you own them. Because I own those games digitally, so
yeah.
But those would be different downloads and things like it probably wouldn't work like that, I would have to imagine, but it's nice to imagine a video game world like that where that could be a thing. I don't know. Cool launch window game. I mean, also, who's publishing this? Do we know? Is IO?
Just IO. That's it. I'll go back to the trailer, but I think
Warner Bros. Published 2.
Here, I'm checking right now
I don't know
for
if
you.
they said. If they self-publish this, that'd be really rad for them. Because they'll probably make some bank on this. because I feel like people have really dug what they've been doing with the franchise lately.
Yeah, I'm checking right
So
now.
if they're able to do that, good on them. Anything else we want to say about Hitman?
I mean, it's cool that they're doing another one. Like those first two things were really successful for them. And I feel like the stream, like I think they needed to keep on like bringing something familiar to it, so then people would keep on watching and stuff like that. Because before that, they were putting in like a bunch of that indie stuff, which I don't mean to say that like rudely or anything like that. Some of that stuff looked awesome, but it wasn't familiar territory. So to see Hitman 3 come in, you're like, oh wow, okay, they're making the Hitman 3. That's sick. And then it keeps people watching. So I think that was like part of it, but it's cool to see it coming back, and I wonder what cool things they'll add to it. So, yeah,
For sure.
I'm not certain about this, but I think I was working on something else too. I feel like they're working on a new IP or something like that. I could be totally wrong, and I might be thinking of getting it mixed up with another studio. But I think they're working on something else in addition to Hitman. Which be just kind of interesting. Don't take that as I'm pretty sure about that one. And usually I'm right when I think I'm pretty sure. But anyway. Astro Playroom. Here's the interesting thing about this game I found out. This game comes installed on your PS5. Mm-hmm. So you got an Astro Bot Playroom game.
Yep. They had
kind of rad.
They had that in the last one. They had it on the PS4 as well.
So they did, but they did in the last one, but it looked totally like this looks like a 3D platformer game, and I know they had the Astrobot Playroom stuff in the PS4 as well, but it was just kind of
it was like a demo for
gimmick mess around tool or whatever.
Play with your controller or play with your new camera, and it was like you would move the controller around, and the people would be in the controller. You can hear them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just to kind of put the new DualShock 4 through its paces and stuff like that. I'm kind of wondering if it'll be the same case here with the DualSense stuff, if this will be like the best way to show off how that controller really works well. But this looks way more extensive than the last stuff they did. This looks 100%. Like Astrobot, the VR game, but just a PS5 version of that.
I agree.
Which is really cool.
Which I would be okay with, because Astrobot was a fantastic platformer.
Yes, it was. Even though I didn't play all of it. So yeah. Mike, anything on this one?
Nope.
We all got our nopes.
Great.
It's free, and we'll all get it when we have the systems.
That's right. We would all play. We'd live stream it.
I'm gonna say, whether you like it or not, you're gonna get it. So there it is.
Take it, sir.
This next game, which game are we talking about here? The doc says
the Devil Inside, or
weird game. I don't know.
I don't remember what it was.
Devil Inside.
It was.
Oh yeah,
Little Devil Inside.
That was like one of the best games they showed. How dare you?
Well, who wrote weird game? I don't know the name on the doc.
I was writing it while I was doing also typing and stuff, like working, so I missed it.
Here, I'm
so
adding it to the audience.
You guys were really hot on this one, Mario and Scott.
Yeah, for sure. It kind of reminded me of a Henry Selick movie of like James and the Giant Peach, like animation style mixed in with like claymation, because they look like solid blocks for a lot of the characters. But the actual gameplay and the stuff that they do and the funny jokes that they did in the trailer, I thought like really worked really well, like the humor of it, the British humor of it. But of course the gameplay actually looks really cool too. It kind of reminded me of like a Fable game in a way, where it's like a little bit of like a fairy tale, but pretty much in this world that they exist in. Your character has a backpack that he just throws a bomb, and like riding on a horse, like attacking a bear, and like in this giant open field. So it has like Breath of the Wild elements to it, and like he has a shield that has a gun that he just pulls out and blasts a dude. Like it looked awesome.
Yeah, there were a lot of different environments and kind of camera angles. Like I don't know what the main look of the game is, but the expressions on the cartoon character, like the adventure or whatever, and then opposed to like this old butler guy, it looks very cool, and I want to see more of like what the actual gameplay flow is, like what the gameplay loop is, because it does just look very cool. And like in one shot, your main character is like carrying this like a girl or something on his back with like who has a spear, and then you see a dragon, and it looks very interesting.
There's a sand part that looks very Journey-esque. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The character designs in this reminded me of The Adventures of PB Winterbottom, where you're a man who tries to collect eyes.
Yes. I remember this game.
It reminded me of that. Obviously not one-to-one, but just in a general sense. That's all I gotta say about that.
I don't think I like the design of the main character. I think he looks a little odd. But I'm looking at the trailer right now. And that sand part where they're like there's one where he's like on like riding on the penguin, and then he's riding a donkey and things are chasing him, and then it shows like a sandstorm. Like that visually looks really, really good.
It reminded me of Mad Max. I was like, yeah.
There's a man on a toilet. That's pretty rad.
That's a great joke where he throws the bomb and then it lands in the toilet.
Yeah.
Great goof.
Yeah. I think I was catching some of this like as we were watching, and I was just like, I don't know. I was working on other stuff, but it looks really good.
It's not your Call of Duties. It's not your Resident Evils where you got to pay attention. But this is definitely a game I'm really gonna check out.
Same. I'm very intrigued. I want to know more about it.
Yeah, the environments look incredible in this game.
Now you're like, yeah, I'm going to fall in love with this game.
Yeah, I was rewatching it here because this was one of the ones that kind of slipped through the cracks for me. It looks really interesting. Is there a release window on this one?
No.
Negative. It's a console exclusive for a limited time. Also available on PC. It's going to come to PS4.
A meat shop called Schmeats.
As is every PS5 game, apparently. Also coming to PC. Time exclusive. Moving on. Who likes some basketball? We could all use a little sports nowadays because they just all of them shut down. I'm actually really fascinated how this is going to tie into what is happening in real basketball, and if there is going to be any crossover. I don't know. Kind of just more morbidly interested in how the sports releases are going to go this year in our coronavirus world we're living in. Are they going to add the Disney World courts where do any of you guys even know what's going on with basketball now? With like how they're gonna finish the season basically in like a closed environment down in Disney World or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm wondering they should add that stuff to this.
They should add it. I mean,
that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
ball out on the mouse court. Anyway, there's nothing to say about this one really. Sweat looks real good. Zion Williamson has played like 20 games in the NBA, and he is now the cover athlete, which is just bonkers. This dude has not played like any professional basketball. If you guys aren't, the non-sports people are not going to be familiar with who this guy is. He's a rookie. He was a rookie this past year, but he got hurt. So he missed like the first like 4 months of the season, and then he came back and he played like 15, 20 games, and then coronavirus shut down the league. And now he's the cover athlete for the game. So, but he's like the next big thing.
That's one way how you improve your stats, right? You just show up at the last half.
He's probably the most hyped rookie like since LeBron, though. So that's why he's on the cover. So he's like the next thing, suppose. Anyway, he's really good. He's really good.
I will say, one, my dog is just zooming around right now. Two,
I can't hear you.
Two, this man breaks a rim off of the backboard and he just throws it down. That means that's
a foul.
Now that means that this is actually NBA Jam. That's what I'm saying. Boom shakalaka.
He's on.
So I can get behind you on that.
No, I mean I didn't play 2K20, but I usually play these games. So
Casino Simulator.
I was gonna say, if there's one thing they need to fix next gen, please, for the love of God, stop packing these games full of microtransactions. Y'all think Battlefront's bad? Try to play NBA. It's just a mess now.
You can watch ads to get stuff. It's bad.
Yeah,
I'll stay with like. I hope this is more of like a complete version than when they had the NBA 2K that launched with the PS4. Because that was like very much just like, here's a couple modes, here's like franchise or something like that. I don't remember. There wasn't that. It was not like a complete package. It was very much just like the bare minimum that you needed for an NBA 2K game, and it got a little bit better. It got better the next year. but I hope it's more of like a complete package than it was for like the other console launch.
I don't follow sports, but I would set your expectations incredibly low.
I will buy this game, though. That's the problem. So I always buy a sports game with the new console.
I'm in the realm of like, I think sports games like year to year actually do change things a lot. If you like, I don't know, if you're like really,
if you put the amount of time into them, you can tell the differences. You really can.
It's like it's some of it seems like minor, but like some of those like minor tweaks to controls and stuff like that actually like make or break that game. Like that's how I felt with a lot of like FIFA, or I play a lot of FIFA or NHL, and I've always felt like some differences were either better or worse and stuff like that. So
take
I don't know.
Yeah, take this as you will. I would say for people that love sports games, it's up to you, man. I honestly probably would skip especially for the PS5. I probably would skip the PS5 version of the game and just wait till the next year when there's possibly more advancement. Because ultimately, I mean, I'm sure they had leeway with the PS5 stuff, but I always seem to notice that there's not that much of a major jump.
I mean, we legitimately said this. We legitimately said the same thing right now about, you guys said the same thing about Spider-Man, though, right?
No.
It was like, this doesn't seem like much of a change, just a change of environment and assets and stuff like that.
No, true, but I'm just saying, just in terms of like, what is the major change this year? I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. Fair enough.
I think, yeah.
Spider-Man, good game. Basketball, bad game.
Can we please jump ahead real quick? Just so I can talk about this real quick.
Oh no, what's that?
I mean, we're gonna skip one thing and then we'll come back.
We can skip whatever you want. Oh yeah, of course.
Demon Souls. Let's talk about this real quick.
Yeah,
Demon Souls remake. Obvious, everybody knew this was coming. It's been rumored for so long. Go to a few things also real quick before this. One, Ricky Freck, hello, still listening. Confirmed that IO is working on a new IP, so I was right.
Cool.
So there's that. Demon Souls. Okay, the remake trailer got confirmed. Coming to PS5. Blue Point Games. People remade Shadow of the Colossus most recently. This is gonna be awesome. The Souls-like started it all. Go to Wario64's Twitter right now. He just shared some direct feed screenshots, 4K of this game. Holy crap! Like the level of detail that they go to in these remakes is unfreaking real, dude. Like this looks insane to me.
You said it was Mega 64?
Wario 64.
Wario. Yeah.
64.
I don't think there's a lot to say about this one other than holy crap, this is gonna like. I'm just excited for this one. I like stupid From Software games.
Yeah, the 4K trailer is up right now.
4K trailer looks really good too. The one thing about this is I can't believe we don't have a release window. That is the one thing. I feel like it's still pretty soon though. Like I feel like this is a launch window game. We just don't know that yet. And if I'm not mistaken, when they revealed Shadow of the Colossus for PS4, I don't think they revealed that alongside a release window either. And then it ended up being February of the next year. And they revealed that at E3 2018, I believe, or 16 or 17. I don't know what years. 17, I think. Yeah, it was 17. And then it was out in like early 2018. So I still think the turnaround on this one is pretty quick. I think it'll be like I said, a launch window PS5 game. I don't know, man. I'm like, this
I can't wait for.
I was just gonna say it's weird that like, I mean, my system sellers so far are this and Spider-Man. Like those are the reasons I'm getting a PS5, and this is an 11-year-old video game that I'm wanting to play. So
I can't wait for the people who have only played Dark Souls, like the Dark Souls series, to go back and play Demon Souls.
It's me. I've never played this game. It's the
you haven't.
It's the lone From Software game I have not played. I played like the first 5 hours of this years ago.
Okay.
Like years and years ago. Before I think Dark Souls even came out, honestly, because I had heard good things about this, so I picked it up and I played it, and I was like, this is too much. I can't do this. And then like half a decade later, I became a masochist and got really into all the games. And but this is the one I've not gone back to play just because it's kind of not very accessible nowadays. So
yeah. Ooh, I'm anxious to hear your reaction and thoughts on it, because this is quite different.
I wonder how much of it they like changed to be more modern, you know?
I bet
don't think
not.
they'll
I bet
change all
not
that
at all.
much.
Yeah.
I feel like they kind of did with Shadow of the Colossus. It didn't control like hot garbage.
Yeah,
So I
This
mean,
game
like,
didn't control like hot garbage either. This game controls mostly like the other Souls games for the most part. Like the cross DNA between this and the original Dark Souls is pretty, like in terms of controls at least, is pretty similar from what I remember when I played of it. So on that front, it's not a whole lot different. I know that the format of this game is a lot different though. Correct,
Yes.
Scott? Yeah.
Yes, the format's a lot different. I'm anxious to see what they do with the whole world tendency system, where depending on how players play, it will affect basically what loot people can get in their game, which can make things crazy. The difficulty, I would say, in Demon Souls is a good bit higher than the difficulty of the other Soulsborne games. And it's just before Dark Souls 3, this was the only Souls game I've beaten. So I beat this one, and then when Dark Souls 3 came out, I beat Dark Souls 3 as well, and then I went back and beat the first game as well. But I'm super stoked that this is becoming more accessible, and now that the Souls series is more accepted and popular, I'm very anxious to see the reactions of Dark Souls players going back and playing Demon Souls for the first time. So good, it's a good game. Good game.
I hope it's out soon, please.
I will try it. I will try it.
There you go. Michael,
Yeah,
are you gonna try it?
yeah, of course I'm gonna try it.
I mean, look at those screenshots, dude. It looks so good.
Yeah, I try these games all the time, and I think they're always very good, and I never beat them. So I'll try it. I'll buy it, probably. I will not beat the game.
I've just been informed that we've been doing this for a long time.
We have been doing this for a long time.
So I don't know if anybody else needs to go, and we need to hurry up and get through the rest of this.
No, I mean we still have time. We have. I just have time to think that hit the top stuff left. I don't think we need to talk about that bug game. That game.
I was gonna say, do you guys want to talk about the Octodad game at all? Anything about that, really?
They're
Food or
from
bugs.
Illinois.
You eat what you eat, and then there's creepy Frankenstein monster at the end. I think there you go.
Yeah.
Gotta support my fellow Chicagoans.
There you go. Buy the Octodad game. You guys want to talk about Village?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
Yes,
I
I
do.
do. Yes, I really
Resident
do.
Evil Village, Resident Evil.
What's the Japanese name though? Is it Biohazard Village?
Biohazard
I would assume
Village.
Biohazard Village.
I want to visit Biohazard Village so bad.
So this.
Or Mr. X?
What
I
if
think
just,
there's
like,
multiple. I
stalking
think
you?
it's an enemy type, honestly. Based
what
on
if Chris
people said.
Redfield what if Chris Redfield is the Lord of the Werewolves?
He is part of New Umbrella.
Sure.
Lord of the Werewolves. The Return of the King.
A Return of the Redfield.
The Two Towers. I'm excited about this game. But 7's the game I haven't played. I bought it recently on sale, so I will play it for the first time all the way through.
Play it.
I watched my friend from front to back play it. I never seen any of the DLCs, so I'm excited to play this. From the little knowledge that I know is that Ethan and Mia. Mia, I mean, spoilers for that game. Mia survives. You get actually rescued by Chris Redfield, and at the end of this trailer, Chris Redfield just kills a woman in front of Ethan, and Ethan screams. So I'm very much terrified that you saved her. The whole point of the other game is you save her, and then Chris Redfield takes her from you in this one. So, I mean, if that's the case, I'm gonna have to rewatch it like 6 times. Can't wait to watch it in 4K. But I'm in. I mean, you got me. You got me. My piqued interest in like Transylvania stuff, where it's like werewolves and witches, and who knows what else is in this game. So I'm just color me interested. Let's go.
We're definitely moving away from the zombie stuff, but we're entering new territory that is.
It's
really,
interesting.
Shit's crazy.
I'm curious to see what they do with it.
Yeah, let's mix this like scientific with like supernatural. I'm totally into it.
It definitely seems like a way different direction for them, and hopefully it doesn't bite them in the butt. Because in the past, when Resident Evil's gone in a new direction, actually that's not true because they went in new directions with like 4, and that turned out crazy well.
For sure.
But when they lean a little bit too much into insanity, sometimes it can fire back. I guess that would
True.
be an instance of 5 and 6
True.
to a degree. To a degree, 5. 6 definitely.
The rumor that this was actually Revelations 3, but then they changed it to Resident Evil 8 because the real 8 needs more time or something.
No, I think it was just it was something like that. I don't know if the real 8 needed more time or anything like that. I think it was just like some of the, I don't know. It was something. I can't remember the specifics about it, but yes, in a broad sense, I think that this was originally being workshopped as Revelations 3, and then it turned into 8, and they adapted it to the first-person style and put Ethan in it. And, I don't know. A lot of the broad strokes ideas, I think, were being planned for Revelations 3, and then it became Resident Evil 8 instead. So
sounds like Resident Evil 3 all over again.
So we're gonna get Resident Evil 8, and then we're gonna get Resident Evil 4 remake the year after, potentially.
Yeah.
And so we'll have gone on a string of years where it is 7, 2 remake, 3 remake, 8, 4 remake in a span of 5 years, right? There's that 6 years, 5. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Anything else on this one?
I mean, again, just to echo what you guys said, I think
more info this summer is what they're saying. So,
okay, cool. I mean, if it goes with past timelines, this will be out in the first part of next year too.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I mean, all the other games have been out in first portions of. I mean, it's like early portion of each year is a new Resident Evil game comes out. So
I would say April to the latest.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Let's move on to more Capcom stuff with Pragmata. There's not a whole lot to say.
Quick
CG
question.
trailer.
Very Kojima trailer.
Quick question. We thought it was a sequel in the thing. We thought it was a sequel to Death Stranding. Well, I thought it was a sequel to Death Stranding.
I think we all did. We were saying the same thing, weren't we, Mike?
Because
we were.
They had spoilers for Death Stranding. Sorry for everybody in the chat. The end of that game turns out Lou doesn't have a penis. But I was like, wait a minute, is this like a couple years later and now we're in the big city?
It's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and there's a little girl running around, and I'm like, wait a minute. And then he has carrying a backpack. And was it Luden? I didn't know if it was Luden. And then all of a sudden the world went crazy and you're on the moon. And I'm like, well, yeah, Sam, of course. But I'm just like, what is this? And then it said something else. And then I saw at the bottom it said Capcom, and I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, that's the thing. They didn't really highly publicize that this was Capcom. You kind of had to see it there in the credits at the very end.
Yeah. But,
I don't know. I don't have much to say about this one. Seems like we're in deep down territory where this could be vaporware.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, basically.
This generation's deep down. I don't know. Interesting that they're playing around with some stuff like this.
Yeah.
Very Capcom-esque when you look back on it. Get like Vanquish vibes and things like that.
For sure.
I know that's not Capcom, but or wait, is that Capcom? Who published that? That was Platinum, and who published
Sega?
Who published Vanquish?
Sega?
Oh, Vanquish?
Oh, that was Sega. That's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're skipping in my head. Last one. Horizon Forbidden West. Horizon Zero Dawn 2.
We all knew it. We all knew this was going to happen.
Looks really pretty.
I need to finish Horizon.
I got to play the
You
Frozen
should do
Wilds.
that game does get really good in the back half, I think. I mean, I think the whole game is super good, personally, but back half of the story gets actually really, really good. Compelling.
Yeah.
Visually, this is one of the best games they showed. I mean, it was all a CGI fest,
Yes.
but it looks good. I'm excited for it. I like the first game a ton, though, like I said. So where are you guys sitting with this one?
I don't know if my history with you guys is known for this game, that I think the last game is not that good, but that's just me. I'm the outlier. I just thought it was a game that had too much mashing up of other games, and I would rather play those games. That's just me. That's just me personally. Now, is this game very pretty, and am I going to buy it and play it? Yeah, of course I am. Why not? I finished the first one. I'm already halfway dedicated, so if they actually blow my mind for the second one, I'm already there. So, by all means, I'm going to be playing this because it looks fantastic. And I just booted up. I have PS4 Pro now. I just booted up Horizon recently because I want to see what it looked like. And god dang, does that game look pretty. So I'm probably going to run through it again through Horizon. Maybe I'll change my mind this time. Who knows?
both of you guys? Anything for the Horizons?
At first, originally when I first played it, I didn't finish it because I didn't really like it. I was kind of with Mario. I felt like it was just, I don't know, more open world stuff, and I was kind of burnt out on it. Especially that came out around the same time Breath of the Wild came out, and I was kind of invested in that too. And then a year later, I played it, and I beat the game, and I just didn't like the pacing of it, but I ended up liking the gameplay a whole lot. I really liked that world, and when the story beats did happen, I thought they were freaking awesome. Like, I really dug the story of it. I just felt like the pacing of it wasn't all that great. So to see that tale continue, like with this one, I'm really excited to see. And it looks gorgeous. It's cool to see. It's not just like a bunch of like city buildings and stuff like that. There's like beaches and stuff like that, and bodies of water and stuff, which I don't think we really saw in the first one at all. So it's kind of cool that they're going to have a little bit more environmental variety. But yeah, I'm excited for it for sure.
Yeah, it's cool. There's one shot in the trailer that you clearly see the Golden Gate Bridge, so you see that they're in San Francisco. So
that's one thing I was going to mention, is that the first game kind of played around with this idea that, like, oh, you're on Earth or whatever, but we're not gonna directly tell you where. You kind of had to dig around to find out, and eventually you found out it was in like Denver, I think.
Gotcha.
The game, it was in Colorado. This game, I like that they're being pretty blunt with the fact that it's on the west coast of the United States and that you're in San Francisco, you can tell, or you're in that vicinity.
It's the title. Which, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think that's cool that they're leaning into that a little bit more, and they can kind of play around with some potential West Coast iconography, especially assuming the game takes place largely in the San Francisco and the outskirts of the city or whatever. I also like that they are expanding on. It looks like they're going way higher with, like, they're introducing sky stuff. Like, we saw pterodactyl looking things that I would assume you might be able to fly around on. And then they're also looking like they're going underwater too. We saw some swimming stuff. Yeah. So they're going both high and low to expand that world. And that could blow back on them, I guess. I mean, maybe this game doesn't need that much depth in locations, but on paper, I like it. And I think it's a good way to continue making that world more interesting to explore, for sure, because most of the first game was running around and looting around and exploring things. And so I think, I think they really knocked the first game out of the park, honestly. So for them to take another swing at this, I think it's just going to turn out that much better, especially on new hardware and all that. And I'm excited for this game. I think it's like on my short list of games I'm stupid excited for, even though there's still not a whole lot we know. I feel like this game will be out next year, but maybe not. They didn't give a window.
No, they haven't said anything. No.
So, Forbidden West. There we go. That's everything. Bringing over everything. Overall, broad strokes, I guess, before we get out of here, because I know we've been talking for a long time. How'd you guys feel about the presentation altogether?
Other than the false start with the Rockstar, the Grand Theft Auto stuff, I think this was definitely the way to showcase your games in a fun, little bit of the person that has made the game, and then there's the trailer. There's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It gives personality to the studios, and it gives a great showcase for the games. And I think that the games that they showed were actually pretty excellent. When you have your big AAA titles, including Miles Morales' Spider-Man, you got the Ratchet and Clank, you got Horizon Zero Dawn, but then you also get great third parties like, for instance, Resident Evil, and of course the Arcane games. Those look fantastic. And the little games too. The little games that they had throughout the whole presentation was also really exciting for a lot of them, for sure. So I think this was actually super solid, and I don't want to sound like a Sony pony, but most times I feel like they do knock it out of the park during these like big events. It's usually with the state of play is where I feel like they falter. But if this is something they want to do like every so often, I'm into it, actually. It's actually pretty solid. They have enough assets because they keep cutting to X's and circles and squares and triangles like every other game. So they have enough assets to keep playing with this. So I say, why not? Why not?
Scott, what about you?
I mirror a lot of what Mario said. I think this format really worked well for Sony. I think they should adopt a similar format in the State of Play and not try and do the Nintendo Direct style. I think this had a great mix of content where, regardless of what kind of games you like, you will find something that speaks to you. Regardless of age group, you have kind of the games more geared towards younger players with your Ratchet and Clanks, your Bug Snacks, your Little Devil Inside, stuff like that. You have your Resident Evil. You have your big AAA games. Your Spider-Man, your Resident Evil 8, your Demon Souls remasters, things like that. I think I loved how much importance and time they gave to indie developers. I really like that. And yeah, I'm stoked. I personally like the design of the PS5. I like kind of the sleek nature of it. So yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm curious to see when we'll get more information. What other games they might be keeping still close to their chest that they haven't revealed yet. And of course, price and date. So overall, I would have to give it like an A- if I were grading it. So I thought it was a really good presentation. I like that they showed gameplay, which was missing from Xbox's press event earlier this month or last month. I'm glad we saw like legit gameplay.
Mike.
I liked it. I thought it was really good. I again, I'm gonna kind of mirror what everybody else said. Like, I thought the format of it was really good, and I thought the pacing of it was very good. I felt like they, start with some big hitters. Like, even though I know, like, we personally weren't fans of like the GTA thing, in terms of how they presented it, but I think to lead off with something that big and then sprinkle in those big things like throughout, and then also have those smaller titles and all that stuff, I thought they did a really good job of pacing that conference. It's kind of like what I mentioned when they had like Hitman 3, like right before that we saw like a ton of like indie stuff or stuff that wasn't super well known. So to get stuff like Hitman 3 and Resident Evil 8 and stuff like that sprinkled in, it keeps people watching, which I thought was really great. In terms of like games that speak to me personally, there was, it's gonna sound weird, there wasn't like a lot for me, other than like I love horror. I don't play a lot of horror video games though, because I like get scared real easily when I play them, but I do love them. So like Ghostwire Tokyo and Resident Evil 8 kind of spoke to me the most, and also surprisingly like Ratchet and Clank like was like my like go-to thing. That's like the thing that I'm kind of the most excited about out of everything that they showed here, which is really weird. I did like the 2016 one, but to me, like that was like the most impressive like showing that was like here at the PlayStation event. But yeah, and then also like the console looks fine. Like, I mean, I'm gonna get it regardless or whatever, so I'm gonna have to kind of live with what it looks like for the next couple of years or so.
Yeah.
Until they redo it in a couple of years and they make it side loader.
PS5 Pro.
Side loader.
They add another white lined thing.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm kind of with Scott where like if I were to grade it, I'd give it like B plus A-. But in terms of like things that spoke to me mostly, there wasn't like a ton. But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really good for sure. I felt like it was like the first real big E3 quote unquote E3 showing that we had all year.
Oh man.
My thoughts before we get going. I thought it was really good. I guess in a general sense, like nothing about it blew my pants off.
Yeah.
Because everything about it we kind of expected, which is not anything bad by any means. We expected Resident Evil 8. We expected Demon Souls. We expected Ratchet. We expected Horizon. Spider-Man's the big surprise, I feel like, at the show, which is why that stood out to me the most. Gran Turismo was not a huge shock by any means. And then the things that we saw that were like kind of intriguing, we didn't see a whole lot about, like Project Athia, Pragmata. Those things I don't think are like we just saw very small glimpses of that kind of draw intrigue. But they weren't anything that I think like made the show by any means. And then the stuff that I think was honestly the biggest deal kind of fell between the margins. like with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo both being like exclusives, like super wild, or at least timed exclusives. And that stuff wasn't even really bluntly stated in the show itself. So overall, I think it was a really good showing from them. They gave people what they have been wanting. I think Mario said it, like it was a fair mix of everything, like a little bit of everything was in there. Games for mainstream people, like your NBA 2Ks and your Grand Theft Autos and your Spider-Mans, but then you got the Resident Evils thrown in there, and your Horizons, and then your like offbeat stuff like Oddworld. Like it was just a really good mix of everything. So overall, it was like a super. It was a fun show to watch. Like it was the most fun like video game event we've had in 6 months. It just feels like everything's been leading up to this. So I feel like people are going to be inclined to like this regardless. That said, people are acting like, or I actually don't know how people are acting. Actually, a couple people have already messaged me and been like, man, I don't see how Xbox can top that. Like, I don't agree with that necessarily. Especially because, again, I think if there's one thing I am a little bit disappointed by, it was just that there wasn't a lot of gameplay shown. Like, if we would have seen, like, boom, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and then it immediately led into a 5-minute gameplay demo showing like Miles' different abilities and something like that would have been one thing to me. But we really didn't see a whole lot. Sorry if you're hearing noises. We didn't really see a whole lot of like actual gameplay, which I think is probably why Ratchet and Clank stood out to Michael the most, because I felt like that was the one they kind of stewed on the most throughout the whole presentation. So if like Xbox's conference next month by comparison is like focused really heavily on gameplay and things like that, like they really hone in on Halo and they really show off a lot of like, I don't know, Hellblade or Fable or whatever else is rumored to maybe show up. But I think that could win a lot of people over in this whole ongoing stupid console war thing. So far though, I think both platforms look really impressive in their own ways. I'll pick up a PS5 obviously later this year, assuming I can get my hands on one. Gonna be there to pick up a Series X too, because I think that thing looks awesome so far. Yeah, solid shows. Finally glad we got something to talk about here, because it just feels like it has all been building to this for a very long time, especially considering how far in advance both Sony and Microsoft actually started talking about these console generations. It felt like we first started hearing about PS5 stuff, last spring? They put out that first Wired article where they were talking about it, and then it's just like 18 months of silence almost until we actually started seeing things like this. So yeah, feels like it's taken a long time to get to this point, but glad we're finally here. Anyway, if anybody watched this, thanks for hanging with us for this post-show discussion. Hopefully you guys like this kind of format. We're probably going to be doing a lot of things like this more throughout the course of the summer. I haven't talked to you about this, Mario, but maybe we should do stuff like this next week as well for like EA Play and things like that. Maybe not a post-show like this. Depends on what they show.
I feel like a post show like this, I don't think it'll be as long. I don't think it'll show literally 27 games or whatever.
Hey, y'all want to talk about Mass Effect remastered? Some remastered of 10-year-old games? So yeah, I think we'll probably be doing things more like this on and off throughout the summer. I think next month with the Xbox showing might be an instance where we'll do something like this. So yeah, if you're catching us either live or the VOD of this, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel here, and also be sure to check out everything over on DualShockers.com, where we've got all of our impressions, news stories, reviews, all that other good stuff going up on a routine basis. Other than that, you can follow the website, like I said, at DualShockers.com, or you can follow us on Twitter at DualShockers. You can follow me on Twitter. I am at Moreman12. You can follow Michael on Twitter. You are at
The Michael Ruiz.
Follow Mario at
that Mario Rivera RVD.
And you can follow Scott at
Solid Snake 120.
There you go. Solid Snake 69 would have been better, but
or Solid Snake 420.
Solid Snake 69 is definitely taken, by the way. That's like
Solid Snake 140 period 82. Just the time code of like whatever kernel is. Major zero.
So that's it. Yeah, thanks for joining us for this. Again, got a couple months left till this thing's actually in our hands, so should be an exciting coming month. So, anyway, till next time, everybody take care. Hope you're doing well. We'll talk to you later.